Good evening and welcome to NewsNight. Tonight we'll have all your international, national, and local news. I'm Melissa Mandarak.
And I'm Juliana Brock. Donald Trump's tariffs have already been hitting Americans in significant ways. We'll have a look at how it's impacting our student body.
We'll also take a look at an event that helped Point Park students get a jump start in their career in public relations.
All this and more coming up on NewsNight.
Iran released an official statement on Sunday rejecting direct negotiations with the U.S. In the letter received on March 12th, President Donald Trump wrote that if leaders deny talks, the U.S. will be taking military action. President Masoud Pezeshkian did not deny indirect talks. However, these possibilities have not progressed in over 6 years. Trump's decision for the American withdrawal from Tehran's nuclear deal in 2018 created an unsuccessful pattern for communication in regards of the nuclear program. Pezeshkian claims, quote, "We don't avoid talks. It's the breach of promises that has caused issues for us so far," end quote. NBC aired a comment from Trump saying, quote, "If they don't make a deal, there will be bombing, and it will be bombing the likes of which they have never seen before," end quote. There are little public details of the contents of the letter, but Trump has released statements saying that things are coming for the relationship between the two countries and hoping for a peace agreement before activating a militarized alternative. The United Nations nuclear watchdog has reported an acceleration of Iran's production of near-grade uranium at almost 60% purity. This is a status taken only by countries that are atomically armed. Both the U.S. and Israel worry and maintain the notion of never allowing nuclear weapons in the hands of Iran. Protest and propaganda videos have been released showing chants of death to Israel and death to America, as well as troops stepping on a painted Israeli flag. Press TV wrote an article listing U.S. bases that could be targets for attack, including Camp Thundercove on Diego Garcia that is used to base stealth B-2 bombers, most likely for the attacks in Yemen. Iranian parliamentary speaker has issued statements knowing the vulnerability of the U.S. right now and has said that an aggravation to Iran's sovereignty will, quote, "be like a spark in a gunpowder depot, setting the entire region ablaze. In such a scenario, their bases and their allies will not be safe," end quote.
A 7.7 magnitude earthquake caused more than 2,000 deaths in Myanmar on Friday. This is the strongest earthquake to hit Myanmar in more than a century. Tremors were so strong they caused a building in Bangkok, Thailand to collapse. As search efforts continue, the death toll climbs. The United States Geological Survey estimates the count to surpass more than 10,000 deaths. The United Nations warned this could cause more hunger and disease outbreaks in an already war-stricken country. This earthquake was caused by a strike-slip fault, which happens when two tectonic plates move side by side. It could be weeks before the full extent of the destruction is known, as rescue crews continue to dig by hand for those that are missing. Buildings have been reduced to rubble, including the Mandalay Royal Palace Complex and the Myanmar Bridge. Neighboring countries have jumped in to provide aid as the country remains without electricity and search efforts continue.
The World Court said this past Friday that it would hear a case brought by Sudan demanding emergency measures against the United Arab Emirates and accusing the Gulf state of violating obligations under the Genocide Convention by arming parliamentary forces. Sudan accused the UAE of arming the paramilitary rapid support forces which have been fighting the Sudanese army in a 2-year-long civil war, a charge that the UAE denies. The UAE official said, quote, "The Sudan armed forces are nothing more than political game and publicity stunt, an attempt to drag a long-standing friend of Africa into the conflict they have themselves instigated and fueled," end quote. Even with UAE denying the claims, Sudan's request to the World Court is scheduled to be reviewed on April 10th. It could take months for the final conclusion. However, the emergency measures are meant to ensure the dispute between Sudan and the UAE does not escalate in the meantime. As Israel moves past the ceasefire, they agreed to more journalists are suffering from the IDF, with a new casualty being added to the list of reporter deaths. Reporter Leslie Krebs is in studio to give us the latest details.
Al Jazeera journalist Hussam Shabat died this past Monday on the 24th in northern Gaza after a targeted attack by the Israeli military. Shabat was only 23 years old and dedicated to covering the Israel-Palestine war from inside Gaza, putting him on Israel's target watch list for journalists. Israel targeted and labeled Shabat as a terrorist, with the Israel Defense Forces confirming his death, saying they, quote, eliminated the terrorist Hossam Basel Abdul Karim Shabat, a sniper terrorist from the Bet Hanun battalion of the Hamas terrorist organization, who cynically posed as an Al Jazeera journalist, end quote. Shabat knew his work would result in his death by Israel. Before his death, Shabat wrote a message which was later posted after his death on X, saying, quote, if you're reading this, it means I have been killed, most likely targeted by the Israeli occupation forces, end quote. Shabat was dedicated to documenting the war and its efforts on the residents living within it. After moving with his family further south, Shabat refused to leave those suffering in the north. He instead moved back further north to ensure those being affected by the war were being documented and reported on. Israeli forces have killed more than 230 media officials in intentional attacks, with Shabat just adding to the further growing total. Shabat finished off his post by saying, quote, by God, I fulfilled my duty as a journalist. I risked everything to report the truth, and now I am finally at rest, something I haven't known in the past 18 months. I ask you now, do not stop speaking about Gaza. Do not let the world look away. Keep fighting, keep telling our stories until Palestine is free, end quote.
When we come back, the state of Utah has made a major change to their health system with the backing of RFK Jr. We'll give you all the latest details.
And another tragedy was barely avoided at the Reagan International Airport in D.C. We'll have all that and more when we return. Marco Rubio confirmed that he has revoked over 300 visas and will continue to sign letters. Rubio spoke with reporters on Thursday aboard his plane from Suriname to Miami. Each day he is personally reviewing cases and will revoke the privilege for any visitor acting against the national foreign interest of the country, saying, quote, if we knew this information about them before we gave them a visa, would we have allowed them in? And if the answer is no, then we revoke the visa, end quote. In the case of student visas, Rubio emphasized that visas are not a right to international visitors and that the U.S. is not at will to, quote, importing activists into the United States, end quote. In the statement, he explained that these actions are disrupting the abilities of students to access buildings and undermine U.S. educational institutions. To this logic, students participating in American education are here to go to class, and that is all. Rubio did not go further into the process of how these cases are going under review because the department is looking for more people. In regard to the Turkish student who was detained by 6 hooded agents at Tufts University, Rubio maintained this logic of counter-ideology, saying, quote, the overwhelming majority of student visas in this country will not be revoked because the overwhelming majority of people that are coming to this country to study are not involved and associated or aligned with organizations that seek to do damage in this country and that, frankly, organizations that hate the United States government and hate our way of life, end quote. The conference reflected the measures taken to ensure that visitors uphold a specific non-vocal image that aligns with the ideals of the current administration. The state of Utah has passed legislation to get rid of one of the largest public health initiatives in the country within their borders. Reporter Leslie Krebs has more information.
Utah officially banned the implementation of fluoride in public water. They have also become the first state to officially do so, with Utah's governor, Spencer Cox, signing the bill this past Thursday. The bill will officially become effective on May 7th. It will result in any community no longer being allowed to put fluoride in public water. This new bill was brought up after Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Republican state lawmaker Stephanie Gracious brought into question the effectiveness and safety of fluoride in the water. Gracious believes fluoride has negative cognitive effects on children, and Kennedy brought up negative health effects after advising President Trump on removing fluoride from all U.S. water sources. Kennedy believes fluoride is, quote, an industrial waste associated with arthritis, bone fractures, bone cancer, IQ loss, neurodevelopmental disorders, and thyroid disease. Researchers and scientists have, however, found no adverse effects and reject these ideas. Doctors and medical experts across the U.S. shared their concern for taking fluoride out of the public water system, with other states like Florida and Ohio now considering legislation as well. The American Dental Association's president, dentist Brett Kessler, commented on the bill by saying, quote, "It is disheartening to see that a proven public health policy, which exists for the greater good of an entire community's oral health, has been dismantled based on distorted pseudoscience," end quote.
Katrina Armstrong, interim president of Columbia University, has abruptly resigned from her position. This just adds to the long list of controversy facing the school in recent months. Most significantly, the Trump administration threatened to cut $400 million in federal funding. The Trump administration has put together a list of changes that they wanted the university to make so that the university could receive the federal funding they needed. The list of demands is not fully released to the public, but some are related to the ongoing protests that have been taking place concerning the war in Gaza. The resignation of Dr. Armstrong scares many about the future of universities and the funding they receive from the federal government. Columbia University student Adarshi Pachauri said, quote, "This resignation, along with the funding withdrawal, talk of deportations, and government involvement in general, is frustrating," end quote. Donald Trump has signed yet another executive order, this time targeting the power that unions have across the country against their employers. Reporter Ruthie Light has details on how exactly this order will impact many of the federal workers currently being targeted by the Trump administration.
Thanks, Jules. On Thursday, March 27th, President Donald Trump signed an executive order to end collective bargaining with federal labor unions and agencies with national security missions across the federal government. A fact sheet released by the White House reveals that Trump's order is aimed at stopping federal unions who have, quote, declared war on President Trump's agenda, end quote. The fact sheet noted that the American Federation of Government Employees, which is the largest union in the United States and represents more than 800,000 employees, has filed many grievances to, quote, block Trump's policies, end quote. AFGE National President Everett Kelly spoke on the matter, stating, quote, AFGE is preparing immediate legal action and will fight relentlessly to protect our rights, our members, and all working Americans from these unprecedented attacks, end quote. According to President Trump, the Civil Service Reform Act of 1978 gives him the authority to end collective bargaining with federal unions and these agencies because of their role in safeguarding national security. The executive order applies to workers across many federal agencies, including the Department of State, Defense, Justice, and Health and Human Services. It also impacts the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention and the Federal Communications Commission and the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Police and firefighters will continue to collectively bargain. As for everyone else, there will be updates to come in the following weeks. Trump's tariffs have begun to take effect across the country, with his, quote, Liberation Day coming tomorrow. However, many people are still unclear as to what exactly tariffs do and how they will affect their daily lives. Anchor Juliana Brock took to the streets to help give us an overview as to how exactly we could be impacted.
Food prices are skyrocketing. Purchasing a new phone requires a loan. And shipping on your favorite clothing has doubled. Many are wondering, why are things so expensive? President Trump has marked April 2nd as Liberation Day. Liberation Day is when his tariff policies take place.
I think tariffs, on paper, they can have a lot of merit. I think that it can incentivize manufacturing in the homeland. Right now, we are seeing the prices of everything jump. As prices continue to increase and as wages stay at what they are, everything will become more difficult to afford for everyone, especially students.
And the idea of implementing them is that in the long term, you incentivize, or even, I guess, in some way force companies to bring their manufacturing back to America. I think it's a long game play. I'm skeptical. I'm curious to see how far he goes. Does he tariff things that Elon needs to make Teslas, right? Or does he not tariff those? I'm curious to see if that relationship will be impacted, because if he just keeps going with this, eventually he might tariff something that impacts them, and then we'll see what happens.
According to USA Today, President Trump told reporters, "We're going to charge countries for doing business in our country and taking jobs, taking our wealth, and taking so much out of our country." He considers the tariffs on Canada and Mexico to be reciprocal taxes. While the results may not be immediate, they are unpredictable.
Economic strife produces a lot of political turmoil. It feels like everything is getting more expensive faster than you can keep up with. I do think that it's just going to escalate, and then something different than tariffs will come whenever tariffs will not substantiate the tension between the countries.
With the unpredictable nature of these tariffs and Liberation Day taking place tomorrow, we're going to have to see what the Trump administration has in store for us next. For UView Television, I'm Juliana Brock. Delta Airlines Flight 2983 was cleared for takeoff at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport on Friday around 3:15 p.m. At the same time, 4 U.S. Air Force T-38 Talon aircraft were inbound. The jets were headed for a flyover of the Arlington National Cemetery. Flight 2983 left its gate at 2:55 p.m., and while taking off, it nearly collided with the T-38 Talon aircraft. Delta's pilot, after the incident, said, quote, "There was an actual aircraft about 500 feet below us as we came off DCA," end quote. Not much is known except that no one was injured. This incident comes just 2 months after a mid-air collision above the same airport that killed 67 people. Although we don't know why there's so much trouble in the sky, we will be sure to keep you informed as more information comes out. When we return, Pittsburghers helped raise money for charity this weekend in a spectacular fashion. Plus, a brand new summit about local feminism took place at a local university. We'll be right back.
Chatham University held the first Pittsburgh Feminist Student Summit on Saturday morning. The 3-hour event was hosted for students attending local colleges to network among other students and organizations at the Mellon Center in the Shadyside campus. The Chatham Feminist Coalition, Planned Parenthood Next Gen, Toyota Honor Society, and Women's Institute sponsored the event. The Women's Leadership and Fem-Aligned LLC Light Student Chapter, Chatham Film Club, and the Autonomous Body Shop also offered tabling for women's groups, resources, and women's health. There were open spaces for attendees to talk to organizations and among each other. There was also a space for crafting and relaxing in a safe environment. Hosts took the time to recognize the late Dr. Laura Lovett, who headed the Department of Gender, Sexuality, and Women's Studies. Dr. Lovett was a crucial member in creating this opportunity for Pittsburgh students months ago. Lightning talks were given by attendees to share information regarding organizations or general interests aligned with creating a more equal and opportune environment for women in education and the workforce. Speakers from Carnegie Mellon, Pitt, Point Park, and Chatham discussed gender and linguistics, the mental health of women's athletes, and places to turn to for help. Tables were given time to engage in conversations about the importance of the feminist community, where experiences could be shared and expanded upon in a small group setting. Groups were encouraged to create words of wisdom and positivity to share. The space provided a strong groundwork for future events in the coming years for the Pittsburgh student community.
A student's cell phone caught fire, causing the school to evacuate on Monday morning. At Bentworth High School, the lithium-ion battery in a student's Motorola cell phone caused it to burst into flames. 7 students were checked out by EMS but declined transportation to the hospital. The Washington County hazmat team was called to the scene. According to the Bentleyville Fire Department, the hazmat team was called so they could put the phone into a safe metal container packed with cell block. The National Fire Protection Association explains on its website that lithium-ion batteries are flammable as they store a lot of energy in a small space. The Bentworth School District Superintendent stated that Monday's fire, quote, serves as an important learning experience regarding the widespread use of lithium-ion batteries and the potential safety risks associated with them, end quote.
Point Park's PRSSA recently held a conference here at Point Park's campus, bringing together public relations professionals from across the region to teach the student body. Reporter Colleen Winder was at the event and is here to tell us about what took place and what students took away from the event.
The Rising Currents Next Gen PRSSA conference is back for its 6th year, bringing professionals and students alike.
The event itself was inspired by the international and regional PRSSA conferences, and its primary purpose being to educate, network, secure internships, and make valuable industry connections. For 6 years in a row, the student chapter leaders have taken all the initiatives in conceptualizing and executing this event.
Having been a part of it for 1 year, it was a lot easier to reach out to those speakers and to get registration going and reach out to old attendees and get a lot of people back that were here last year. Duquesne, on the other hand, is handling the agency tours and the sponsorships, so they coordinate a lot with the businesses and the agencies that we deal with, so they get a lot of connections that way, and then we get to mix that together when the conference actually comes to plan.
This two-day conference started this Friday at Duquesne University, where students were taken on private PR agency tours. Then, on Saturday, students were able to visit a variety of breakout meetings hosted by PR professionals to talk about the local PR industry in Pittsburgh. Then came the career fair, where tables of local agencies talked and recruited students for open job positions and internships where they can apply their skill.
I know that students here at Point Park are creative, energetic, and I think because you chose Point Park, you're excited to enter the work field. So for me, coming, back to this community feels right, and this is not the first time I have looked to hire a Point Park alum.
With this carefully planned conference and engaging speakers, the students attending took away vital information for their success in the industry.
This is my first conference here, but so far it's been great. There's been a lot of great speakers. Very inspiring. We've been touching on media relations, crisis communications, much to learn, and these conferences really give you the opportunity to meet people, engage, learn, and just kind of connect with everyone.
Overall, the conference is paving the way for the next generation of PR professionals. This is Colleen Winder at Point Park University for UV Television.
The recent arrests at Columbia University have sparked fears of similar events possibly occurring at other schools, including Point Park. Reporter Leslie Krebs spoke to campus leaders about the possibility of a similar event happening here and what students can do to prevent it.
Ever since the expulsion of students at Columbia University, this leaves many members and students at Point Park University wondering what this could mean for them and what happens next. Columbia University recently expelled numerous students from the university who took part in a pro-Palestine protest last spring. They also took away the diplomas of several students who had also participated in the protest but had graduated from the university. The university based its decisions on the behavior displayed by the students and its severity. With Columbia University being the first to punish its students based on their activism, what could this mean for other universities across the country? I asked some of Point Park student government and political science members what this could mean for the university and how they feel.
I think it definitely leaves the precedent that it could happen in any school. As much as I think that Point Park is lucky to be a smaller private school that may not be as much in the reticle for the Trump administration, I think it's pretty clear that any university that has an active pro-Palestinian voice and an active culture of protest can be at risk to be targeted by these actions.
I think it is really concerning just because how we've seen it be recently of their obviously taking the actions against students. I think with Point Park's recent statements regarding like the ICE petition, for instance, I really hope that Point Park isn't going to pursue that kind of action, but I think the possibility really is there for them to take negative actions towards students, kind of withholding diplomas or other actions like that.
In terms of what this could mean for Point Park, I think it's setting the precedent, or it has the potential to set the precedent that universities can get away with this and not experience any sort of financial or political consequences. And I think that's a really big problem. My hope with this petition is that we will show that, students at Point Park University are not going to stand for that and are going to demand that their administration make sure that our First Amendment rights are protected, both on and off campus.
Reporting live from Point Park University for UView Television, I'm Leslie Krebs.
A new and major addition has arrived on the Steelers lineup for the next season. Reporter Becca Trulick is back at NewsNight to give us more details.
Just across the river here, a little over 2 years ago, quarterback Mason Rudolph was able to save Christmas. Now he is home with the Pittsburgh Steelers after signing a 2-year deal.
Rudolph's initial tenure in Pittsburgh began when he was selected in the third round of the 2018 NFL Draft. Over 5 seasons, he compiled an 8-4-1 record as a starter. In 2024, Rudolph joined the Tennessee Titans during free agency and then stepped in for an injured Will Levis and started 5 games. The Steelers' decision to bring back Rudolph comes amid uncertainties at the quarterback position.
I mean, when you look at their quarterback room right now, they got Skylar Thompson and Mason Rudolph. They blew an opportunity to sign Russell Wilson. Kirk Cousins is a little too expensive for them. And in all honesty, do you really want to waste a first-round pick on a quarterback this year?
Fans have expressed mixed reactions to Rudolph's return. Some appreciate his familiarity with the team system, while others question his ability to lead the Steelers to success.
I actually like it. I thought he was good when we had him in the first place, and then we got rid of him. And I was like, you know what? Okay, it's fine. We'll be good. And then we weren't good.
Yeah, I feel great. I think Mason Rudolph he played solid when he was with the Steelers originally, and I'm excited to have him back. Even though he'll probably be the backup, I think he's just a solid backup quarterback.
Fans are eager to see how Mason Rudolph performs this year if he is named QB1, and fans cannot wait for this year's NFL season. Reporting live for UView Television, I'm Becca Trulick.
While hearing that someone jumped on a Pittsburgh building can be scary, this was actually an organized event where everyone was safe and it helped raise money for charity.
That's right. Reporter Ruthie Light has more details on this unusual but fun event that helped raise money for children in need.
On Saturday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Pittsburgh thrill seekers rappelled down a Pittsburgh skyscraper to raise money for a local nonprofit that helps children. The participants climbed down the EQT Plaza building's 21 stories at 625 Liberty Avenue. Proceeds from the campaign, labeled as Over the Edge 2025, benefit the Big Brothers and Big Sisters, a nonprofit organization that pairs local children who need extra support or guidance with fitting mentors. Organizers at the event say the organization works with children from mostly single-parent families, low-income households, and historically under-resourced schools. Erica Jerkowski, a volunteer at the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Greater Pittsburgh and the 2025 Big Sister of the Year, rappelled down with her little on Saturday alongside Senator Devlin Robinson and multiple others. The Chief Executive Officer of Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Greater Pittsburgh, Mark Bloomingdale,
said the unique fundraiser does a good job of showing people what the organization is all about. According to Bloomingdale, quote, "This is actually the perfect metaphor for what we do for the youth every day. We really work with children on trying to introduce them to something that is outside of their comfort zone," end quote.
Pittsburgh is beginning its major reconstruction of Market Square.
Yes, that's right. Reporter Ethan Rowinski was at the scene earlier to tell us what we can expect of the renovations.
That's right, guys. The Market Square reconstruction project has begun. As you can see behind me, they have begun putting up a fence perimeter around Market Square. Well, soon it will entirely close off the north half of Market Square. Just in a little bit, traffic will only be allowed to move from Wood Street to Stanwix through the south half of Market Square, where starting in September, they'll close off the second half of Market Square, while the north half, it will be finished. They plan to add a lot of things to Market Square. They're going to add an LED pavilion for concerts and the farmers market, along with replacing the cobblestone road that surrounds Market Square with granite to make it ADA compliant. The plan is to finish this project in April of next year, just in time for the NFL draft. For UView Television, I'm Ethan Rowinski, sending it back to the desk.
Thanks, Ethan. Well, when we come back, we'll talk about the weather for this upcoming week and how much rain we're looking to get.
And hear about how one lawmaker is looking to reunite families with their furry friends after the fires in LA. We'll be right back.
Take them, cue them, open their mics.
They mark the 1-year anniversary of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette strike.
Point Park University just hosted a campus-wide meeting.
Plans for the rapid transit bus line are not set to conclude until 2025.
After a Pomeranian named Oreo went viral for a heartwarming reunion with his owner, California lawmaker Rick Spur introduced an act to help other people find their pets. The act will help pet owners reunite with their furry friends after natural disasters like the LA wildfires that affected Oreo. If passed, the act will require cities to have emergency plans and hotlines for evacuees to find the pets they left behind. Spur said in an interview, quote, "The Found Act is something that embraces what we all understand, how important our pets are and that they are parts of our family," end quote. If passed, other states may adopt a similar idea to make sure every family member is saved after a disaster. Pittsburgh experienced some small rain showers throughout the weekend, and weather reporter Robert Fornatero is here to tell us how much more rain we can expect in the next week. Robert?
Thanks, Alyssa. This past weekend saw massive storms across the Midwest, but luckily Pittsburgh avoided most of those storms, only seeing some passing rain. A different rainstorm, however, is planning to come in starting tomorrow. While we will reach a high temperature of 70 degrees, there will be some passing showers early in the morning, with rain continuing to come and go throughout the rest of the day. Clouds will be sticking around during the entire day, and wind gusts will reach up to 31 miles per hour as we get later into the evening. That pattern is looking to stick around as we head into the rest of the week and weekend, with Thursday looking to reach temperatures as high as 77 degrees. However, thunderstorms are planning to move in around the afternoon with scattered rain showers throughout the rest of the evening. Friday will see some reprise from the showers with a mild temperature of 66 degrees, but moving into the weekend, that rain will return. Showers will stick around most of the day on Saturday and Sunday, reaching highs of 68 and 57 respectively. Monday will continue to dip. We will continue to see a dip in temperatures, with 44 being the high and reaching a low of 28 degrees. Showers will stick around in the morning, but as we head into Tuesday, we will be seeing the rain start to dissipate and some sun will start to peek through those Pittsburgh clouds. Now I'm sending it back to the desk.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of NewsNight. If you want to see more, check out our social media pages on both Facebook and Instagram at UView Television.
You can also check out more episodes on our YouTube channel or our website, uview.edu. I'm Juliana Brock.
And I'm Melissa Mandarak. From everyone here at NewsNight, thank you for watching and have a great evening.